I've heard some terrible stories about the way some companies have been treating their workers, and as an industry, you know, we are socially responsible for everybody at all stages of the process. So finding out that certain factories and suppliers have not been protecting their workers, it doesn't look good. So, you know, I think a lot about the way that there's been so much talk about sustainability and responsibility, transparency, and you know, they're all very important things, but they all seem to mean something different to different companies. And what I'm really hoping that comes out of this is much more about accountability. So instead of waiting for the consumer to ask questions about the product, where does everything come from? Can't we be ultimately very generous and completely open and honest about all of that information, and so that it's readily available for the consumers and for everybody really to share? And I think good things will come from just being a lot more open about things and kind and good to the people that are involved in the process.
Yeah, I'm really saddened and disgusted to hear about the behaviour of brands who won't pay their garment workers. It just really highlights the ugliness and the inequality in our industry and the work that we've got to do. We need to ensure that companies who are not paying their suppliers are held to account for it. Also, I think the idea that brands don't want the stuff that they made for March, April 2020 because it's now apparently redundant or unsellable in the future. This idea is crazy. Like, if this stuff is so disposable, then why are we even making it in the first place?
Actions of some of the companies have been unjust if you see it just from the supplier side, but I see it as a two-way street. Every one of us is in this pandemic. Stores are closed, retailers are not able to sell. Could their decisions have been better instead of right away cancelling orders? Maybe, but things have improved. People are working more collaboratively. Brands are listening, they're talking to factories and trying to find a solution. It's more about a collaborative approach, and that's what everyone needs to work on. Yes, the workers are badly affected, they need to be paid, but in the same spirit, if we see there are retail bankruptcies and those retail store employees or workers are also going to lose their jobs if companies don't try and come out of this more stronger, or at least are able to sustain this time. So it is more and more how the governments would give support to our industry and how people find innovative ways of trying to reduce the impact, financial impact, social impact this pandemic has brought on our industry.
It's difficult. We're on this cycle. We built this cycle, right? So the boomers built this cycle, this huge supply chain, and I think a lot of talk in the industry before all this happened was, you know, hey, this shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be making this amount of stuff. We shouldn't be using these kind of factories. We shouldn't be paying this small amount of money for garments. We shouldn't be paying our workers this small amount of money, etc. So the whole system was broken. And what's really interesting about Corona is it's kind of like it's shaken all of that up. It's like Mother Nature has gone, oh, you were making some changes. I see the changes you were making. I see the Copenhagen, sustainability summit. I see you making an effort. It's not fast enough. It's not good enough. Let me help you. Here's coronavirus. And so it's really, although there's some really negative things that have happened, it's shining a light on those negative things, and it's making us really question those negative things, and it's shaking up the whole industry. I think what will come out of it are, you know, these new, more authentic partnerships. We've written about it on Denim Dudes about, we call them supply chain sidekicks, where brands have sort of collaborated with factories. The factory is talking about the work they're doing, the brand is talking about where things are made, and it's more of a collaboration. Like, hey, we want to use organic cotton, or we want to use less chemicals, less water, whatever it is that the aims are. Actually getting together and actually trying to achieve those aims together, rather than, hey, we're a brand, this is what we're looking for, you know? And G-Star are a really good example of a brand who have kind of approached that and done that really well. So I think that's the stuff that needs to be on the increase, that we're looking after each other. You know, as a brand, your responsibility is that factory owner's employees, not just, oh, you're on your own, you know? So I think hopefully there will be stronger relationships with greater trust, or at least I think they are the companies and the brands who come out of this the strongest and do the best after this will be the ones that are doing that.
But currently, there are many orders has been cancelled by big retailers. This impact on workers from developing countries is huge. In Europe, workers affected by the situation get subsidies from the government. But these workers from developing countries who are living from paycheck to paycheck, who will lose their medical insurance, their life is devastating. Big companies, when they have problems, they could have their credit extended by the bank. They could have bailout from the government. So I hope that these companies should really think twice their effect of their action before they make this kind of decision.
This is certainly an unprecedented moment. Every company is suffering. It's really sad to see them laying off employees, but it is also unavoidable. So I hope companies can communicate with their employees, and maybe they can come up some plans together and to get through this difficult period of time, and also to build up trust.
We need to be very careful about whom we want to work with. The actions of some of the people or some of the brands or some of the companies globally, and not just in the textile trade, in all other trades also, wherein people have left their suppliers in a lurch or left their supply chain in a lurch, goes on to show how fragile this entire relationship is currently. And that is definitely not acceptable, and we need to make sure that yes, we can build and reinforce a significant amount of trust in the industry in order to ensure that yes, everyone in the supply chain is taken care of. I was just doing a calculation as to how many lives get affected with one. For my particular factory, there would be at least 40 to 50,000 people whose entire livelihoods are dependent on the amount of raw material I consume, and to the people who then, my customers who buy the fabrics from me and then sell to the various retailers, that this entire supply system has got affected or been thrown into such a huge amount of a helpless situation, compounded by the fact that yes, you don't know whether your customers are going to exist tomorrow or not. And then how do you take care of your people? How do you make sure that they remain protected? How do they have confidence in yourselves that yes, they can take care of their livelihoods, they can take care of their children, they can plan for the future. So it has become very important that yes, we choose to work with the right people, and the right people will be those who have a significant commitment towards making sure that no matter what happens, that the people will always be taken care of, irrespective of how their businesses are doing. I'm trying my best. I don't know, but today even I am confused as to how will we be able to make everyone feel safe. Will I be able to continue to make my own people safe if, let's say, my people are not, if my customers don't take care of me? So building the trust and working with the right set of people is definitely going to become a very, very new criteria for everyone. And to that extent, I think that our commitment towards sustainability is in the right direction right from day one. And today, the definition of sustainability will definitely mean for working with those people who want sustainability of the entire ecosystem, and especially the people, rather than the greenwashed concepts of sustainability, which have been now floating around for just too long.